Hello, you're watching Gravitas and I'm Shreya Upadhyay. Let's get started. On Gravitas tonight, we ask, are tensions in West Asia onto a cooling down period after Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu met with President Donald Trump? Is that secret meeting way to a softer approach? We also get you more on how Ukraine is now developing anti-drone lasers to counter Russian attacks. What's the advantage? How does it work? And why is it significant in the war at this critical juncture? All of this coming up tonight. And we also tell you why BMW has recalled hundreds of thousands of cars as the German premium car maker is staring at an impact on mid-six-figure number of cars. Are tensions in West Asia on the cusp of cooling down? This is the foremost question on everybody's mind after Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met with the US President Donald Trump. However, the secret nature of this meeting that lasted for over 2 hours has left everyone guessing. The meeting was held behind closed doors, with Netanyahu slipping into the White House via a side entrance without receiving the traditional guard of honor. Donald Trump made his preference clear. He insisted on continuing talks with Iran and pinned hopes on a deal to materialize. He's banking on Tehran to be more reasonable at this time. Israel's version of this meeting was more ambiguous. As per a statement issued by Netanyahu's office, he's emphasized on security needs of his country in the context of the negotiations with Iran. However, a lot has been left unsaid after this meeting. For instance, there is no clarity on whether Trump explicitly barred Israel from striking Iran alone. Earlier, remember, Israeli defense officials had indicated to their American counterparts that they're willing to strike Iran on their own, dubbing the ballistic missile program as an existential threat. Now, the US has a plan B as well. American Vice President JD Vance indicated that a military option is not off the table in the scenario of Tehran not agreeing to a deal.
Well, look, the president's told his entire senior team that we should be trying to cut a deal that ensures the Iranians don't have a nuclear weapon. But if we can't cut that deal, then there's another option on the table. So I think the president's going to continue to preserve his options. He's going to have a lot of options because we have the most powerful military in the world.
Amid the talks, military posturing is apparent too, even as the presence of the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier group has heightened tensions. Trump has also hinted at sending a second aircraft carrier strike group to West Asia. As per reports, Donald Trump might order the deployment of USS George H.W. Bush aircraft carrier, which is, remember, currently completing a series of training exercises off the coast of Virginia. The other carrier that could be chosen is USS George Washington, that is stationed in Japan. Meanwhile, the Iranian side has shown willingness for a dialogue. Ayatollah Khamenei's senior advisor Ali Larijani has revealed that consultations are underway to determine the date for the next round of nuclear talks with the US. At the same time, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has mentioned that there will be no compromise on the ballistic missile program. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian, while addressing a public rally, had said that his country is not seeking nuclear weapons. He has also expressed willingness to allow inspections of its nuclear sites.
We are not seeking nuclear weapons. We have announced this over and over that we are ready for any verification. It's the tall wall of distrust that America and Europe have built with their words that stops the talks from leading to results.
Inspectors from the International Atomic Energy Agency have been barred from accessing the nuclear enrichment sites at Natanz, Fordow and Isfahan since June last year, when they were bombed by the US. Now, reports have shown that Iran has fortified the Isfahan nuclear site. Access to the three main tunnel entrances has been blocked by covering them with soil. Now, this, remember, comes amid the ongoing tensions with America and Israel. On Wednesday this week, Iranians commemorated the 47th anniversary of the Islamic Revolution by staging mass rallies nationwide. This is also being perceived as a gesture of solidarity with the Iranian government, which faced considerable flack recently for its handling of the protests. As both sides have left the door open for diplomacy, it remains to be seen whether this phase is a lull before the storm.
I'm here in Dhaka, and Dhaka is geared up for the elections.
They're coming together, the first-time voters, they're overly excited.
Millions of Bangladeshis went to the polls in a historic election that promises to shake up the country's political landscape. After the 2024 ouster of longtime Premier Sheikh Hasina, many hope that this election will bring in the stability and growth that they desire. Voting concluded at 4 p.m. Dhaka time across 299 constituencies. Till 2 p.m. local time, the voter turnout was 47.91%. The counting of votes is now underway, and the outcome of this high-stakes election is expected to have far-reaching consequences. This election, remember, comes in the midst of a radical political shift. One of the key factors that differentiates this election with the past ones is the absence of Sheikh Hasina and her Awami League party, which was banned from elections following her ouster in 2024. The past elections have been a direct contest between Awami League and the late Khaleda Zia's Bangladesh Nationalist Party, or the BNP. The BNP, led by the recently returned Tariq Rahman, emerged as the front-runner, promising a new path which is focused on job creation and the rule of law. The BNP faces intense competition from Jamaat-e-Islami, who returned to the polls after being barred by Sheikh Hasina's Awami League. Youth-led National Citizen Party, or the NCP, also gave BNP a tough fight. This election is also marked by two decisive voter bloc, Generation Z and Women. That's Gen Z and the Women. Combined, these groups form a numerical majority of the electorate, with over 40 million voters aged between 18 and 29 and more than 62 million women voters. These voter groups could have a massive impact on the outcome of this election. Observers believe that the results may depend less on traditional party machinery and more on generational aspirations and gender-driven voting trends. Voters will decide on a national referendum as well. Remember, this referendum will determine whether Bangladesh adopts the July National Charter, which is a sweeping package of state reforms proposed in the aftermath of the unrest. This charter seeks to curb executive powers, putting limits on the term of the Prime Minister, strengthening the judiciary, reinforcing the election commission's independence, and preventing the misuse of security forces. If passed, it would amount to one of the biggest governance overhauls in Bangladeshi history. While the polls have been fairly conducted in many areas, reports of sporadic violence and allegations of rigging have also emerged throughout the day today. Reports suggest that several BNP candidates withdrew due to such poll rigging. The BNP has accused the Jamaat coalition of distributing pamphlets promising cash incentives to voters who cast their ballot for the party. Jamaat, in their handouts, claimed this move promised salvation in the afterlife. Allegations have also surfaced that a presiding officer in Nagaon signed and sealed a result sheet before the vote counting was finished, a clear violation of the election rules. Following the complaint, the presiding officer was withdrawn from duty around 1:30 p.m. In response to the election day events, former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, meanwhile, has called this election as a carefully planned farce organized under the leadership of the chief advisor, Muhammad Yunus. Hasina criticized the absence of Awami League and voter participation, describing this election as a deceptive exercise that disregarded democratic values and the spirit of the constitution. On the other hand, Chief Advisor Mohammad Yunus, who took power through a controversial transition, described the election as a moment of great joy and called for the democratic decency, regardless of the final outcome. Mohammad Yunus has urged the nation to embrace the results with a sense of hope and unity, promising to respect the will of the people. This election follows a contentious period in Bangladesh's political history. Back in January 2024, remember, the Awami League had claimed a landslide victory in the 12th parliamentary polls. It was boycotted by the BNP, but that government was later overturned in the August 2024 uprising. Now, with tension still high and political divides deep, with vote counting still underway, all eyes are now on the final results and the new political order that will emerge from them. With counting underway in Bangladesh, the stakes are higher than ever. While early polls showed the BNP to be the front runner, the story on the ground may be different. WION Sibbal, who has been covering these elections from Dhaka, gets us the latest update from the ground. Take a look.
It's been a packed day here in Bangladesh. We saw voting all throughout the day, and we know that now it's being counted. We'll get to know initial results, but a clearer picture will emerge on Friday. Also, big question on the government formation. It looks like neck on neck when it comes to the BNP and the Jamaat, and clearly the big focus is for the next government, good governance. At least that is what many people we spoke to on the ground are hoping for. The next government inherits a weak economy and bad relationship with neighbors like India and Myanmar. So clearly an important election for the people of Bangladesh. That is what the feeling is on the ground. But there is a lot of work left to do.
All right, shifting our focus now, Russia has unleashed an intense aerial assault, firing hundreds of missiles and drones across Ukraine. Kiev, Dnipro and Odessa have all been hit in a wave of strikes that have left 2 civilians dead. Even as the bombardment intensifies, Ukraine claims that it has struck deep inside Russian territory, while uncertainty surrounds the prospects for a new round of peace talks. It's a never-ending nightmare for Ukraine. Every night brings back the same horror. Air raid sirens wail throughout the night. Missile defense systems spring into action and people rush to take cover. Waves of Russian missiles and drones tear across major Ukrainian cities. Powerful explosions echo across Kiev. The relentless strikes have left over 100,000 households in the capital city without electricity.
It turns out that the electricity has been turned off and there's no heating. We will climb on foot now to the 12th floor. Let's go.
Moscow also launched a massive attack on Dnipro and Odessa. The Russian assaults have left people without water and heating. Ukraine claims Russia used 25 missiles and 219 Shahid drones in its latest attack. This comes a week after Moscow unleashed a record 2,000 attack drones, 1,200 guided aerial bombs and 116 missiles of various types across Ukrainian cities. Russia has intensified its winter campaign of strikes on Ukraine's power grid, plunging major cities into long periods of cold and darkness in freezing temperatures. Ukraine is also striking back. It carried out a series of long-range strikes on Russian military targets. Ukraine admits using long-range FP-5 Flamingo weapons to hit an ammunition depot near Volgograd and a missile manufacturing facility in Russia's Tambov region. As the fierce fighting intensifies, Washington proposes a second round of negotiations next week between Russian and Ukrainian delegations in Miami or Abu Dhabi, in the United Arab Emirates, which was the location of the last meeting. Volodymyr Zelensky accuses Putin of being hesitant to take part in the US brokered negotiations. But Moscow maintains its long-standing position that any direct meeting between Putin and Zelensky must take place in the Russian capital. Bureau Report, WION World is One. From stones and spears to swords and guns, from cannons to missiles, humans have always chased the next deadly weapon. And now laser weapons are fast emerging as the latest weapon of choice. Around the world, militaries are racing to integrate this weapon for combat. Israel, India, United States, United Kingdom, China, Russia, they're all investing heavily in directed energy weapons. So what exactly is a laser weapon? Well, in simple terms, a laser weapon fires a highly concentrated beam of light at a target. That beam carries enormous heat, even exceeding 3,000 degrees Celsius. When it strikes a drone, missile, or aircraft, it can burn through metal melt components or disable electronics within seconds. And Ukraine is the latest to join this race. To counter Russian drone attacks and amid shortages of air defense missiles, Ukrainian engineers have developed a homegrown laser system called Sun-Ray. The system aims to shoot down kamikaze drones and other aerial threats. Sun-Ray uses a concentrated laser beam to burn through a drone's body or fry its electronics mid-air. It operates almost silently, and the system is compact. Engineers can mount it on a pickup truck or a light vehicle, allowing forces to move it quickly across the battlefield. Developers estimate that while the prototype cost several $1 million, a full production model would cost far less than modern surface-to-air missile systems. Ukraine's military claims the laser can destroy attack drones, guided bombs, cruise missiles, and even ballistic missiles at distances of up to 3,000 meters. It can also target helicopters, aircraft, and reconnaissance drones up to 5,000 meters away. If trials succeed, Ukraine could become one of the few countries to deploy laser weapons in active combat. But laser weapons come with both advantages and its own limitations. On the plus side, they're extremely cost-effective. Air defense missiles can cost hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars. In comparison, laser weapons cost only a few dollars per shot, making them far cheaper. While missiles can run out, laser systems can keep firing as long as they have electricity. For countries facing drone swarms, that is a major advantage. They're also compact and they can be easily transported from one place to the other. However, laser weapons are not invincible. Weather conditions such as fog, rainfall, dust, or smoke, they all can weaken or scatter the beam. They require massive and stable power sources. Their effective range remains limited as compared to long-range missiles, and they must hold the beam steady on a target for a few seconds to cause damage, which is not always easy against fast-moving threats. Still, the direction is clear, from Israel's Iron Beam to American and British prototypes and India's 30-kilowatt laser weapon. The global arms race has just entered the age of light. The question is no longer whether lasers will shape modern warfare, but how soon will they redefine it? Moving on, the Pentagon is pushing the top AI companies, including OpenAI and Anthropic, to make their artificial intelligence tools available on classified networks. Experts caution that this is being done without many of the standard restrictions that the companies apply to users. Our next story explores what happens when the world's most powerful military is entwined with intelligent machines. Take a look.
Inside Pentagon, a massive change is underway. The world's most powerful military is no longer just developing deadly weapons. It is desperate to conquer the digital frontier. For years, Silicon Valley kept a polite distance, cloaking its AI in ethical guardrails and safety filters. Those days are over. The U.S. Department of War is now aggressively pushing firms like OpenAI and Anthropic to deploy their most advanced models onto classified networks, demanding the removal of standard restrictions that prevent AI from being used for lethal operations. The objective is clear: to fuse artificial intelligence directly into the heart of modern warfare. This isn't about administrative efficiency, it's about to be ready when the next conflict ignites. A machine is making the decision to fire before a human can even blink. These are not test environments, not simulations, real command systems, real-world combat operations. Military planners at Pentagon believe human decision-making alone cannot keep up. AI promises instant threat detection, predictive battlefield analysis, and rapid targeting support across land, sea, air, and space. Analysts warn this is a dangerous turning point. Once AI systems are embedded inside classified networks, then there is no turning back. Tools designed for logistics and analysis can slide into operational decision-making. And in war, small errors scale fast. A misclassified signal, a misread pattern, an automated recommendation acted upon too quickly. What's unfolding is bigger than procurement. War is no longer just fought by soldiers and generals, but by machines trained on data, operating behind classified walls. And once artificial intelligence enters the battlefield, there may be no easy way to switch it off.
Pakistan's terror face has been exposed once again on the international stage. Now the United Nations has linked Pakistan-based terror organization Jaish-e-Mohammed to the Delhi Red Fort blast, which claimed the lives of 15 people on the 9th of November last year. This finds a prominent mention in the latest report of UNSC's sanctions monitoring team as well. Without naming any country, it also mentioned one member state, noting that Jaish-e-Mohammed accepted responsibility for a series of terror attacks. Founded by Masood Azhar back in 2000, this outfit is responsible for several terror attacks across India, including the 2001 Parliament attack and the 2019 Pulwama attack. So far, India's National Investigative Agency has arrested at least 9 people, including 3 doctors, in connection with the Red Fort blast case. Addressing a press conference a few hours earlier, the Ministry of External Affairs hinted that India had played a role in convincing the United Nations on Jaish-e-Mohammed's connection with the dastardly terror attack.
This particular report that you referred to, it is there available in the public domain. It is online. This was the 37th report of the Analytical and Support Sanctions Monitoring Team. This was published on 4th of February 2026, and we have seen that they have taken on board our inputs, India's inputs in regard to our concern on cross-border terrorism, and also as to how we can strengthen global fight against terrorism.
Well, Pakistan continues to shirk responsibility for the spate of the terror unleashed by Jaish-e-Mohammed. In an indirect reference to Pakistan, the UN flagged that another member nation reported that this terror outfit is defunct. Previously, remember, Pakistani leaders have often feigned ignorance about the whereabouts of Masood Azhar, who is one of India's most wanted terrorists. Meanwhile, the UN report also confirmed that Jaish announced the creation of Jamaat-ul-Mominat, its female wing, on the 8th of October last year. And as per sources, it will be headed by Masood Azhar's sister, Sadia Azhar. Her husband, Yusuf Azhar, was killed during Operation Sindoor on the 7th of May 2025 when Indian forces targeted the command headquarters of Jaish in Bhawalpur, which falls in Pakistan's Punjab province. Reports indicate that Jaish is aiming now to train and use female suicide bombers in future terror attacks. a major boost to India's combat readiness, India's Defence Acquisition Council has cleared the purchase of 114 Rafale fighter jets. Out of the 114 Rafales approved under a government-to-government agreement with France, India will reportedly manufacture over 90 jets domestically. A calibrated push to strengthen India's defence, domestic manufacturing capacity and generation of jobs. The approval comes just days before French President Emmanuel Macron's visit to India. The Defence Acquisition Council, led by the Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, also cleared the procurement of additional P-8I maritime surveillance aircraft for the Navy, along with the combat missiles, including the Scalp long-range cruise missiles for the Indian Air Force's Rafale fleet and advanced high-altitude pseudo-satellites. Altogether, the Council approved proposals worth an estimated 3.6 lakh crore rupees, which is a massive sign of India's defence modernisation drive. For the Indian Air Force, the approval of Rafales also addresses a pressing operational gap. The Indian Air Force currently operates 29 fighter squadrons against a sanctioned strength of 42. These additional Rafales will strengthen air dominance capabilities and sharpen India's long-range strike power. But more importantly, India will retain full authority to integrate indigenous weapons and systems onto these aircraft. That means greater operational flexibility and reduced external dependence. The Air Force already flies 36 Rafales and the Navy is set to induct 26 Rafale M jets for its aircraft carriers. Expanding the fleet will streamline logistics, training and maintenance. According to India's Ministry of Defence, high-altitude pseudo-satellites will be utilized for intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance purposes. While the P-8I aircraft will boost the Navy's combat capability for long-range anti-submarine warfare, maritime surveillance and strikes, new anti-tank mines and overhaul of the T-72 tanks for the Indian Army has also been approved. With that, we're slipping into a break, but coming up on Gravitas, Pakistan's former Prime Minister Imran Khan has reportedly lost more than 80% vision in his right eye. We get you more on the stunning revelations made by his lawyer. And a latest poll states that 73% of Israelis rate Donald Trump as a better-than-average U.S. president, even describing him as the best American president in Israeli history.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Watching Gravitas, let's get you an update from Pakistan. Amid growing health concerns about former Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan, his lawyer Salman Safdar, who met him in jail on Tuesday this week, has now made a sensational revelation. In a report submitted to Pakistan's Supreme Court on Imran Khan's living conditions in Lahore's Adiala jail, Safdar has claimed that the former Pakistan Tehreek chief is losing 85% of vision in his right eye. Remember, this is coming a few weeks after he was officially diagnosed with the right central retinal veil occlusion, which is essentially a medical condition that can cause permanent damage to the eyesight if it's left untreated. According to the PTI chief, Imran Khan, he suffered a sudden and complete loss of vision in his right eye after October last year. In fact, despite complaining about this to the jail superintendent, he was merely given eye drops for 3 months that resulted in no improvement. Imran Khan was secretly rushed to the Pakistan Institute of Medical Sciences only in January, where he was administered an injection. His lawyer added that the former Pakistan Prime Minister appeared visibly distressed by the loss of vision and he was repeatedly using a tissue to wipe his watery eyes. According to the report, Imran Khan has also been denied access to his personal physicians and dental consultations over the last 2 years despite repeated requests. He's also expressed serious concern over not being allowed to meet with his relatives and talk to his UK-based sons in violation of court orders. Imran Khan has been, remember, behind the bars since his arrest in August 2023. His wife Bushra Bibi and dozens of other Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf leaders are also incarcerated. Meanwhile, Pakistani Supreme Court has now stepped in. It has directed an expert team of doctors to be formed before the 16th of February to examine Imran Khan's eyes. The court has also asked the government to allow the former Prime Minister telephonic calls with his sons who are yet to receive a visa to visit Pakistan. The court's order assumes significance as Imran Khan has been cut off from the outside world for a long time. His last call with his sons was in September last year. Before Safdar, the last time Imran Khan met his legal team was on the 16th of October. Similarly, the last family member to meet him was his sister Uzma, way back on the 2nd of December last year. No further access has been granted to his family members since then. His sisters have not taken this lying down either. They have staged multiple sit-ins outside the Adiala jail in protest against the authorities. The police have often used force, including water cannons, to disperse the protesters. Sohail Afridi, who took over as the chief minister of the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province in October last year, has been denied meetings with Imran Khan as well. In November 2025, he had staged a 16-hour-long sit-in demanding access to the PTI founder. Imran Khan's son, meanwhile, has reacted to these developments. Qasim Khan has lashed out at the Pakistani Army Chief, Field Marshal Asim Munir, and the government in Islamabad. He said that the jailed ex-Pakistan Prime Minister's deteriorating eyesight is a direct result of solitary confinement, medical neglect, and deliberate denial of proper treatment in jail. We're shifting our focus now to India. A day after the leader of opposition in the Lok Sabha, Rahul Gandhi, hit out at the centre over the India-US trade deal, Bharatiya Janata Party leader Nishikant Dubey has now submitted a notice for moving a motion against Rahul Gandhi. Nishikant Dubey has filed the motion against Rahul for allegedly misleading the House. The motion calls for the termination of Rahul's Lok Sabha membership and it seeks to debar him from contesting elections as well. Reports suggest that the BJP may now consider moving a privilege motion against Rahul Gandhi. However, news agency PTI has quoted Dubey as saying that he will not move a privilege motion against Rahul.
I have moved a motion in the Lok Sabha today against Rahul Gandhi on how he is misleading the nation with the help of forces like Soros, who wants to harm the nation. In the motion I have moved, I have requested that Rahul Gandhi's membership should be terminated and he should be barred for life from contesting elections.
Earlier, while speaking in the Lok Sabha on the India-US trade deal, Rahul Gandhi had alleged that Prime Minister Narendra Modi had sold the nation and the interest of its farmers while negotiating the deal with America. Rahul had also hit out at the government for allegedly surrendering the data of Indians to American corporations. Rahul's comments drew sharp responses from the Treasury benches. Reacting to the motion against Rahul Gandhi, Congress leader Priyanka Gandhi Vadra has said that it will not affect him. She has in fact voiced support for the strike by labor unions as well, saying that the trade with US will cause heavy losses to Indian farmers.
तो ये कर रहे हैं एकदम गलत हानों के साथ पूरी तरह से विश्वासघात है इन्होंने जिस तरह की ये ट्रेड डील साइन की है इससे किसानों
The trade deal that they have signed is going to incur heavy losses to the farmers. The entire labor union is on strike today and we are supporting them. They will do FIR cases and whatnot against Rahul Gandhi, but nothing is going to affect him.
FIR तमाम केस ये सब क्या क्या करेंगे करने दीजिए राहुल जी को फर्क नहीं पड़ता
A new opinion poll in Israel suggests strong public support for US President Donald Trump's policies toward the country. A majority of Israelis view him as one of the most pro-Israel American presidents in history. The findings come from the Jewish People Policy Institute's Israeli Society Index for February. According to this poll, 73% of Israelis say that Trump performed better than average when it came to advancing Israel's interests. Nearly half of those surveyed, 49%, described Trump as one of the best American presidents in history for Israel. The survey results were sharply divided along political lines inside Israel. Among right-wing Israelis, support for Trump was overwhelming. 92% of respondents from the political right described Trump's presidency as above average, with 73% calling him as one of the best. However, views were far more mixed among Israel's political left. Only 34% of the left-leaning respondents expressed positive views about Trump's presidency. The survey also asked Israelis how they believed Americans themselves would judge Trump's legacy. Nearly half, 48%, said that Americans would likely consider Trump an above-average or historically strong president. But opinions remain divided. 20% of respondents believe that Trump would be remembered as one of the worst US presidents, while another 20% said that he would be seen as average or below average. Now, these perceptions differ significantly from polling data inside the United States. A separate survey conducted by Siena College and the New York Times found only 19% of American voters believed that Trump would be remembered as one of the best US presidents. 42% of American respondents, meanwhile, said that they believed that he would rank among the worst. Among Israeli voters who identify with the Democrats, 52% said that Israel either lost the war or came close to losing it. The results highlight the continued political and social divisions within the Israeli society, particularly over security policy and international alliances. The poll reflects how closely Israeli public opinion remains tied to national security concerns and the US-Israel relations. Switzerland is set to vote on a plan to put a cap on its population. This proposal, which will be voted on in mid-June this year, seeks to limit Switzerland's permanent resident population to no more than 10 million people before 2050. The Swiss referendum comes amid a broader surge in public unease over high immigration across Europe and concerns rising over pressure on housing, public services and labor markets. The proposal from far-right Swiss People's Party, which is also the country's largest political party, says that the population explosion is inflating rents and straining public infrastructure and services. However, the government said on Wednesday that the SVP proposed referendum is strongly opposed by both chambers of the parliament and the business and financial services community. Switzerland's current population is 9.1 million, and the country has a high level of immigration. This as people are drawn by its high wages and quality of life. It has one of the largest proportions of foreign residents in Europe at 27% as per official figures. Switzerland's population has grown some 25% since 2000, much higher than most neighboring countries. The government says that this initiative would oblige the Swiss government and the parliament to act if the country's permanent population, which is currently 9.1 million, exceeds 9.5 million by denying entrance to newcomers, including asylum seekers and the families of foreign residents. If the population reaches 10 million, further restrictions would come into force, including the pressure on government to use every available policy tool to reduce it under the proposal, including renegotiating or terminating international agreements which drive population growth, such as the free movement of people between Switzerland and the EU. A major controversy has erupted at the Winter Olympics this year after a Ukrainian athlete was disqualified over a helmet honoring victims of the war with Russia. The International Olympic Committee, or the IOC, says that this move was based on rules prohibiting political expression during the competition, remember, but Kiev has condemned this decision, calling it a moment of shame. Ukrainian skeleton racer Vladislav Herskevich has been disqualified because he refused to remove his helmet, which paid tribute to athletes killed during the Russia-Ukraine war. The 27-year-old competitor was due to race at the Milan Cortina Games when the IOC withdrew his accreditation. Herskevich had made it clear that he intended to wear this helmet during the competition, despite being warned that it violated Olympic regulations. The IOC says it offered a compromise. He was allowed to display the helmet during training runs and was given the option to wear a plain black armband during the competition. He was also permitted to show the helmet after competing in the mixed zone, but he refused to change course. Now, this decision to disqualify him was taken by the jury of the International Bobsleigh and Skeleton Federation, which is the global body for the sliding sports of bobsleigh and skeleton.
Once you start, as a sporting organisation, once we start taking stands against wars and conflicts, there is no end. There is no end. And this leads into partly why we have these guidelines, is because if we start reflecting all of those conflicts in the world on the sporting field, there will be no sport.
As expected, this controversy has sparked outrage in Ukraine. President Volodymyr Zelensky defended the athletes' right to honor the victims of the war. Ukraine's Foreign Minister Andrei Sapkya said that the IOC had damaged its own reputation, describing the move as a moment that future generations would remember with shame. Ukraine's sports minister has indicated legal action as well. The athlete now has the option to appeal to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, though officials say that no appeal has yet been filed. The IOC has insisted that this issue was not about the message itself, but about maintaining neutrality in competition venues. Officials argue that allowing political displays on the field of play risks placing pressure on other athletes and undermining the Olympic Charter. But this episode has drawn emotional scenes as well. Behind the scenes, IOC President Kirsty Coventry reportedly held a private meeting with the athlete in a last-minute effort to persuade him to comply. IOC officials later described her as deeply emotional following the discussion.
I really wanted to see him race today. It's been an emotional morning. Yeah.
He was emotional as well. Could you share if the meeting got emotional?
You know, I think for me, I don't think we were in tears, but it was, he is an athlete, and for me, I was not speaking to him in that room as a president. I was speaking to him as an athlete. We have these rules in place to try and be fair, and also to try and allow for us to do both things, right? To allow for athletes to express themselves, but also to allow for athletes to be safe.
Outside the competition venue in Cortina d'Ampezzo, Ukrainian supporters expressed anger and disappointment. Many argued that the helmet was not a political statement, but a tribute to real individuals who were killed in an ongoing war.
I think this is a discrimination, and it's more about politics, and I think this is not correct. He represents, first of all, our country, and he is a great sportsman. And in the past, there was the same situation, and the sportsman was allowed to participate in the participation. So I think this is not correct.
I am very disappointed because this is not a joke. It's not made up. It's not a fantasy. It's real. These people that he showed in his helmet, they're real people that died because of the Russian invasion.
I stand in solidarity with him and he'll get more publicity from being eliminated than he would have by competing in the race.
But remember, this is not the first time that Hereskevich has made a public statement about the Ukraine war. At the 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics, he displayed a banner reading "No war in Ukraine." Now, this latest dispute has once again reignited a long-running debate. Where is the line between political expression and personal tribute in global sport? German luxury car maker BMW is recalling hundreds of thousands of vehicles worldwide over a potential fire risk linked to defective engine starters. The company has confirmed that a mid-six-figure number of cars could be affected. This issue involves starters produced between July 2020 and 2022 and installed in 16 different models. According to BMW, excessive wear in the starter's electromagnet could cause the component to fail. In some cases, a short circuit cannot be ruled out. That could lead to local overheating and, in the worst-case scenario, a vehicle fire even while driving. BMW says that it began investigating after receiving customer complaints and conducting vehicle inspections. Owners of the impacted cars will be contacted directly and asked to bring their vehicles in to have the starters replaced. In the meantime, BMW is advising drivers to not leave their vehicles unattended while the engine is running, especially when using remote engine start. The recall also comes amid a series of fire-related incidents involving some of the world's biggest automakers. Tesla has faced investigations and recalls over battery-related fire risks in some of its electric vehicles. General Motors recalled Chevrolet Bolt models over battery defects that led to several vehicle fires. Hyundai and Kia have also issued massive recalls in the recent years due to engine fire concerns linked to manufacturing faults. Even traditional luxury and mass market brands have not been spared, with electrical malfunctions and overheating components prompting precautionary recalls across the country. This follows a major setback last year when the company recalled 1.5 million vehicles over faulty brakes, taking a hit worth hundreds of millions of euros. For now, BMW says it is taking precautionary steps to address the issue and ensure customer safety. Well, shifting focus now, young women in China are increasingly turning to virtual boyfriends, AI-powered or game-based digital partners that simulate romantic relationships and offer emotional support. A growing number of women say that these apps provide companionship without the pressure and expectations of real-life dating. As Valentine's Day approaches, interest in these virtual companions is now surging as more people explore digital ways to experience romance and connection. This trend is being driven by romance games and AI chat apps that use advanced technology to create personalized conversations and emotional connections. Users can chat with digital characters, receive comfort and encouragement, and even develop ongoing storylines that mimic real relationships. One of the most popular apps is a mobile game called Love and Deep Space. This game allows players to choose from several male characters and build a romantic story with them through daily chats and missions.
You can never truly reach him, but the process of getting to know him is incredibly fulfilling. Because when you're receiving his love, you come to understand what it really feels like to be genuinely loved. And through that, you also learn how to love yourself.
The rise of virtual romance has also sparked debate in China. Some commentators warn that such games could be contributing to the country's falling marriage and birth rates, which have hit record lows in the recent years. Players and researchers, however, dispute this claim. They argue that these apps simply meet emotional needs and say that this trend is more closely linked to women's growing economic independence and changing social expectations. In other news, sharks. The word strikes fear and awe in us. For the longest time, they have been portrayed as terrifying, ravenous killing machines that rule the oceans. But a new research has now revealed that ancient humans were hunting and eating sharks some 7,000 years ago. The Archaeological Institute of the Czech Academy of Sciences in Prague conducted a study at an archaeological site in Oman that dates back to the 5th millennium BC. The megalithic tomb provides detailed evidence of the diet and the mobility of Neolithic communities in the region. According to the study, shark meat was one of the main sources of food and nutrition for the ancient people in southern Arabia. The period in question is the Neolithic period in southern Arabia, which is around 6500 to 3300 BCE. At a time when we are consumed by mobiles and apps, here's a very good reason why you should curl up with a good book. A new study says that reading, writing, learning new things, and even visiting museums could lower your risk of dementia by nearly 40%. American researchers followed nearly 2,000 older adults for about 8 years. The people who kept their brains busy, whether through books, letters, language classes, or creative learning, were far less likely to develop Alzheimer's disease. And for those who did, symptoms showed up years later. Researchers compared those with the highest level of cognitive enrichment, essentially those who kept their minds busy, with those with the lowest level. And after adjusting factors such as age, sex, and education, researchers found those who indulged in reading and writing were associated with a 38% lower risk of Alzheimer's disease. These people developed Alzheimer's or dementia at an average age of 94, as compared with 88 for those who did not. The study's author, Andrea Zammit of the Rush University Medical Center in Chicago, calls it cognitive enrichment. Think of it as a workout plan for your mind. Just like lifting weights strengthens muscles, challenging your brain may actually help build your cognitive reserve. Although doctors say that dementia and Alzheimer's is not an unavoidable part of aging and lifestyle choices do matter, do read the mystery novel that you've been procrastinating. Write a memoir or a journal. Take that cooking class. Learn a new language and just wander through that art exhibition which you've been meaning to see. Your brain might thank you for it years later. And on that note, it's a wrap on this edition of Gravitas. We'll keep getting you more news and updates from across the world. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Bye-bye.
Campaigns, elections, alliances, controversies, and power play. Beyond the noise and rhetoric, no election, no ballot issue too small. Stories that analyze global and domestic politics. More than just headlines. A dedicated show with varied perspectives, expert take, citizens' voices, detailed ground reports, and in-depth coverage from political corridors of the world. This is Race to Power, only on WION. World is one.
In West Asia, every move shifts the world's balance. Wars, ceasefires, alliances, power never stands still. From Tehran to Tel Aviv, from Damascus to Doha, the West Asia Post cuts through the chaos to reveal the region that shapes the world. Because what happens in West Asia never stays in West Asia. This is the West Asia Post, the region's story, the world's impact.
where darkness hides behind every corner, where the truth is stranger than fiction. A show that dives deep into the stories which shock and mystify. Unsolved murders, psychopaths who defy explanation, international war crimes, and millions swindled in financial fraud. The victims, the accused, and the sinister plot. Crime is your front row seat to darkness.
An election unlike any other. High stakes, tall promises, and a changed political landscape. A poll without the battle of the Begums. The return of Jamaat-e-Islami, and a moment of truth for women and minorities. A country in the middle of uncertain times, standing at the cusp of political change. Who will rule Bangladesh?
In-depth coverage of global issues broken down into facts, figures, and simple words. Backed with analysis from field experts who truly matter, because we believe in decoding the real picture for you. So you get a much wider and deeper understanding of stories from around the world, a 360-degree analysis. An award-winning documentary series, week after week creating the maximum impact. Watch WION Wide Angle at these times on WION. World is One.
An election unlike any other. High stakes, tall promises, and a changed political landscape. A poll without the battle of the Begums. The return of Jamaat-e-Islami, and a moment of truth for women and minorities. A country in the middle of uncertain times, standing at the cusp of political change. Who will rule Bangladesh?
Campaigns, elections, alliances, controversies, and power play. Beyond the noise and rhetoric, no election, no ballot issue too small. Stories that analyze global and domestic politics. More than just headlines. A dedicated show with varied perspectives, expert take, citizens' voices, detailed ground reports, and in-depth coverage from political corridors of the world. This is Race to Power. Only on WION. World is One.
Where darkness hides behind every corner. Where the truth is stranger than fiction. A show that dives deep into the stories which shock and mystify. Unsolved murders. Psychopaths who defy explanation. International war crimes. And millions swindled in financial fraud. The victims, the accused, and the sinister plot. Crime is your front row seat to darkness.
Vielleicht nur